नमस्कार जी, मैं अरविंद केजरीवाल बोल रहा हूँ। सॉरी, वो तो अंदर है। सो माय नेम इज अनुज एंड आई एम विद यू फॉर HA configuration in Palo Alto Firewall. If you have not gone through its theoretical one, because this session is going to be totally configuration and lab part. If you have not gone through the theoretical one or part one, the link is in the description. Please go through that first, else it will be really hard for you to understand if you are not familiar with the HA configuration. So in this lab setup, what I have done, I have taken a simple topology in the lab where I have taken two firewalls and what is this? I have taken two firewalls in the lab. There you will see that there are Palo Alto 1 and Palo Alto 2. And for accessing them via GUI, I have taken their console, right? So for the console part, I have taken the, let me take the pen so that I can navigate you. So these are basically like console management port. They are connected for the Palo Alto 1 as well as for the Palo Alto 2. So you can say I will be accessing. I could have accessed via a single machine, but just for the sake of convenience, I have taken two. Later on, you will see that these machines, we have two internal zones. So this will be your internal side. And on that internal side, I have taken a switch one where there is like internal user. I have taken a sample user where I will be testing it. So the IP addresses here, whatever they are configured, you will see that here it is 192.168.1.1 where I will be accessing it. And this IP address here at the gateway, it is 192.168.2.1. So this is the gateway, and in the same subnet, I have taken this internal user. And this IP will be also, I will be configuring on Palo Alto 2, or I will not be configuring, but just config sync I'll be doing. So we'll understand that later. Another switch 2 I have here, which is connected to the internet. And this interface Ethernet 1/2 will be getting the DHCP IP address from the DHCP server. So that's basically, you can say that this is an untrust zone, and that will be having an internet access. So our job of this lab to configure the HA parameters and get the internet access to this user through this one. We will do the failover. We will shut down this firewall and the traffic will be going through the other firewall. Another time I will shut down this, but the traffic will be going on through this one. So there will be no interruption in between. Like there will be like some ping loss because it's a lab session, but in the real environment, you will not observe anything. So let's jump to the config part now. Here we go. So here in the Palo Alto 1, I will be accessing it via its Windows, right? So Win name is somewhere here. Okay. So this will be my Palo Alto 1. So let me bring it here so that you don't get confused. Okay. So will be the Palo Alto 1. I'm accessing it via IP address 192.168.1.1. You can verify it from here. And my password is admin and admin123. You can hack me if you want, like you can access my firewall. You have my credentials. This part of fun, you cannot. And this firewall is already logged in. I will just refresh it so that the things will be as usual. Okay, so I think I entered the wrong password. And here we go. Like Palo Alto 1 is now almost ready. It's getting ready. Meanwhile, let me check my Palo Alto 2. This is also loading. So Palo Alto 1 is this one. And right now, our focus will be only the HA configuration. So the NAT firewall policy, which I have already discussed with you, that will be already in place, because if I do everything in this session, it will be like 1 hour session or maybe more than that. So one thing I have done, that access of the internet from this internal user, it is already existing from this Palo Alto 1. So if I access on this internal user here, and if I try to ping 8.8.8, it is currently working. Okay. So what's happening, right? Currently, if you see that policy and NAT, they are already in place, right? So I have an internet policy here, very first security policy. So they're like internet rule and DMZ to internet. So this internet rule, which is like providing us access from trust to untrust. You see that zone will be somewhere. Okay, from any to any. So that's how like it is providing access. Okay, and on another firewall, if you see, there is not a policy. There is no configuration on Palo Alto 2. So if I go to policies here, so there's only DMZ to internet. That's basically not be providing internet access to this internet user. Okay. And if I show you the NAT part, there is a no NAT policy configured. While in the Palo Alto 1, where having an IP address of 192.168.1.1, I have NAT also configured. Okay. So there's configuration in place, but in Palo Alto 2, there's nothing right now. But today we are just like focusing on the HA part. So for the HA configuration, what you have to do, just very first verify that HA is enabled or not. So just go to the dashboard here, and in the dashboard section, you will see that the HA is not enabled, right? Where you can see there's like dashboard, HA, high availability, and HA not enabled. The same thing is going to be on the second firewall. If I go to the dashboard, you will see there's no HA enabled. So currently there's no configuration of HA in the firewall, and as well as there's no config sync between firewall 1 and firewall 2. Okay. So for configuration, let's go to device. Like whenever you want to configure the HA, you have to go to this device, and under this device, you have to go to this tab as a high availability. Okay, so there is a option of high availability under device, and there, very first thing you have to go for the setup. So you go to the setup, enable HA. So once you enable HA, your HA will be activated on your firewall. Group ID should be common in both of the firewalls. So by default, it is 10. If you want to change it, you can change it. Otherwise, in my case, I will keep that as it is. I'm not going to change it. Okay. But make sure that whenever you are doing the HA configuration, this group ID should be same wherever the combination or HA pair is there. So for example, here we are doing an HA pair, right? So the group ID should be 10 here as well as 10 here. There should not be mismatch. So I'm keeping as it is, and currently I'm going to make it as an active passive and enabling the config sync. So whatever the configuration is available on the Palo Alto 1, that will be going to Palo Alto 2. Okay. And next thing is like peer HA1 IP address. So here you see that I have two links of the HA connectivity between these two firewalls, HA1 and HA2. So currently HA1 is having an interface Ethernet 1/3, Ethernet 1/3. Okay. So in both the firewalls, Ethernet 1/3 is for HA interface and having an IP address of 1.1.1.1. So if you go in the normal scenarios, you might observe that HA, like interface type, is not configured as an HA, right? So if I go to network interfaces, okay, and you see that it's the Ethernet 1/3 and Ethernet 1/4. So interface type is currently configured as HA. So in case if you're configuring first time, they might not be interface type of HA. So you have to change it to HA here like that. Okay. And then press OK. So in my case, they are already, but if they are not, just make them interface type as an HA. Later on, what I'm going to do, I will just go to same where I was and peer HA1 IP address. So if I show you the IP address currently here, okay, so that's like no IP address configured. But I will be using the IP address 1.1.1 here and 1.1.1.2 in the Palo Alto 2. So here, Palo Alto 1, right now I'm configuring Palo Alto 1. So peer HA1 IP address is saying. Peer means that what is the IP address of the secondary or the opposite of that one. So peer HA1 IP address will be going to be this 1.1.1.2. Okay, let me refresh it. Yeah. So this is whenever you are configuring this Palo Alto 1, the peer IP address will be 1.1.2. Okay. So if I go to my here, so here I will be configuring as 1.1.2, and backup right now I don't have, so I will just click OK. Active passive setting is as it is. Election setting is very important. So currently I'm making device priority as 100. So this will be working as an active. Preemption I have not enabled. So this theoretical part I have already discussed in the previous session. And I don't want to enable preemption as of now. Okay. And just if you want to change the priority, you can change it. Otherwise leave as it is. Next thing is like HA1 interface, that which interface I want to use as an HA. So I'll be using Internet Ethernet 1/3 as an HA interface. And what is going to be an IP address here? 1.1.1.1. So peer IP address I have already given here. You see that 1.1.1.2, and this IP address is 1.1.1.1. So net mask you can give it like 255.255.255.252. Okay, a small subnet I have taken, and click OK. Data link HA2. So I will enable session synchronization. So this is basically like session, whatever is available on the firewall one, they will be synced up with the Palo Alto 2. And for HA2, I will be using an interface Ethernet 1/4. IP address, if you want to provide, you can provide. If you don't want to configure, you can use the transport type as Ethernet. So once you use Ethernet, there is a like no requirement of IP address. If you want to use an IP address, you can use. There's not a problem. But even if you use Ethernet, no need to configure an IP address. They will be communicating using Ethernet technology. Basically, that's like layer 2 technology. Okay. So click OK, and that's it. There's no HA2 backup configured here. Okay. And and path monitoring, as of now I'm not configuring, just HA is done, and I will commit it. So it will take like a few minutes, not few minutes, I think within a 1 minute it should be done. So we'll wait for that. And meanwhile, let's configure it on the secondary device. Same thing we have to do. I will be faster a little bit this time, because I don't have to explain this much what I have done till now. So enable HA, group ID is 10, enable config sync, and peer IP address will be 1.1.1 this time. Okay, click OK. Device priority should be 100. There's no changes required. Preemption is also, I want to keep that disabled. Control link HA. So Ethernet 1/3 for HA1. And IP address I'm going to configure as 1.1.1.2. And subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. Gateway not required. So gateway normally be required whenever we have like large connectivity or some routers are between in the between two firewalls. So usually they are not, but in case you have like one firewall in one location, another firewall in some other location, so there will be like routers and uh, like long connectivity between there. So in that case, the gateway could be required. So here we have the direct connectivity between both the firewalls, so it's not required. And for HA2, I will be using the just enable synchronization and Ethernet. That's fine. So nothing else. Okay, the interface I will select as Ethernet 1/4. Click OK. So currently I have not committed it. Let's see what is showing on the firewall one. So this is a firewall one. Let's see the dashboard now. What's the status? So currently you see that the mode is active passive, like HA is enabled. Local device is active, but there's no information about the peer. Right? So HA1 link is also down. HA2 it is showing up because it is over the Ethernet, and we have the IP like no IP is required, so that's why it is showing up. And here it's need an IP address. We are using an IP address, so that's why it is showing as a down. That's not a problem. And like we have not configured something on the whenever like one firewall is configured as an HA and another firewall is not, then this is the scenario. If I commit on the another firewall as well, like Palo Alto 2, then let's see what's going to happen. Let's wait to take some time, around less than a minute, but just wait for that. So 55% is done, 98%. We're going faster. So you could be observing that, like in when you are doing in the production environment, this could be slower because there's like high load in your production machines. If they are like quite okay, less loads, that could be fine. Okay, so this is done. And now let's see the status now. Let's refresh it. So you see that these all the options are matched, but synchronization is not synchronized, right? What's status on this Palo Alto 2? That's how it is. Synchronization is not there. So currently this local is passive, like Palo Alto 2 is the passive, and the peer 192.168 1.1 is an active one. So Palo Alto 1 is active, here local is active, and peer 10.1.1 is passive. So it will take some time for the configuration sync up. Okay. So I think I did not change the priority on the second one, but that should be changed, right? Because I have configured 100 and 100 in both of them. So that's not the right scenario. Yeah, that's right. So this should be basically 90. If this is the priority 90, so in that case, whenever like election is happening, then it should be elected as a passive. So there's like some more criteria whenever there is a tie between like we are having the same device priority. There's some other criteria which I have discussed in the previous session, that which one will be active. Okay, so that's why this firewall is passive and another one is an active. So that's fine now. And if I go to the configuration, let me see the policies. Are they available currently or not? So there's no NAT policy, and here also like only single policy, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click sync to peer. So if I click on sync to peer, are you sure you want to override the running configuration on the HA peer with the running configuration of device of on this device, right? So I'm going syncing to peer, and here the option is like you have to make sure whenever you are doing it, it's always that wherever you are clicking, that configuration will be written to another firewall. So if I click yes, the configuration on this firewall will be pushed to another firewall. And if you do reverse one from passive to active, then it's like you will be removing the configuration, right? So just don't do all that. Be very careful whenever it's happening. So you can see under the task, it should be in progress. Let's see. You see that this task is in progress. Synchronize HAP, 99% done, and now it is completed. So if I go to here and refresh this one, I will see that the running configuration is also synchronized. So whatever configuration is available on this Palo Alto 1 should have been sent to Palo Alto 2. Let's verify that once. You can refresh this as well. All done. If I go to the policies here, now it is also having the two policies. You see, earlier it was having single, but now it has taken the policy from the another firewall. Same thing with the NAT. There was no NAT configured on this one, but now it has taken from another one. Okay, it's just loading. Yeah, here it is. So that's why like the configuration of the HA. Let's verify the connectivity from here. Okay, so currently like everything is working. So if I access youtube.com, that is opening, right? That's fine. It's loading, processing request, and it will be loading. Not a problem. Okay, and if I check the connectivity over like internet, like pinging the Google DNS, ping 8.8.8 is working very fine. And now if I do the continuous ping 8.8.8/t, so if you see currently all the traffic which is passing through this firewall, active one 192.168 1.1. Now I want to check that if I shut down this device, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to suspend this device Okay, means like it will not be taking traffic anymore. Then other firewall should be active. So currently, if I go to the dashboard here, so this is passive one. But if I suspend this Palo Alto 1 from here, then let's see what's going to happen. So very first thing, if I go to the Palo Alto 2 and refresh here, this will be converted to the active. So currently this is active and it's showing that the peer 1 has been suspended. What is happening that for the traffic, right? It is the continuous ping has request timed out 4, 5. It should be taking the traffic here. Let's verify that. Yeah, it is available now. That's right. So it should restore now. Let me refresh my YouTube or any other website, toi.in. So in the like production environment is quite faster. It's not so slow because they are like high-end devices and the processing is very fast. Okay, so I think it's still having some issue. Let me control C and ping once again. Okay, I'm getting the reply now. So it seems like took quite longer, but actually it is working. So that's how like I can do it here. And if I want to restore another device, I can like make a device functional. So now the preemption is disabled. So whatever it was active, that will remain active as it is. It will not be changing. Okay, it has taken over. No worries. And this peer local is active. Yeah, that should be. So if you see that the preemption is disabled, so the local is passive now, and the peer whatever was became active is still the active. And the traffic it should be still going through the Palo Alto 2, like your secondary firewall is still ongoing. And in this Palo Alto 2, if I go to the monitor tab, there should be blank. So that it is not blank, but basically it is like taking time some older logs like 149 here, and this is also, but actually it is not going through that one. If you see the ping here, that is going through, but that will not be going through the passive firewalls. Okay, so I will just do Control C and do Control T once again. And this time I'm going to suspend this secondary device. Operational commands, suspend local device. Do you want to suspend the okay, yeah. And now my secondary device should be active, like Palo Alto 1 should be active one, and the traffic should be dropped for a while, and it will be uh, restoring faster. Should not take that longer, but sometime like this is lab scenario, so sometime it takes longer, but obviously like it will be cover it up automatically. Okay, so that's how it is on like HA configuration. If you have any question on this, you can write on the comment section. I'll be like really happy to help. And see you soon in the next session. Till that, bye bye.